Hi everybody, this is Megan Garza with Megan Garza Wellness. I'm a nutritional therapy practitioner, health coach, and yoga instructor, and you're listening to the Restoring Balance podcast. More women than ever are now dealing with digestive, hormonal, and skin issues and are not finding satisfactory answers or results. On this show, I teach you how to implement holistic lifestyle, dietary, and mindset strategies to help you get smooth digestion and balanced hormones to reclaim your health, feel confident about your decisions, and to finally live life on your terms. Hello everybody, this is episode 13, and the title of today's episode is Healing is More Than Diet, How to Actually Heal. So before we get into today's episode, if you're a fan of the show, this is just a reminder of how you can support the podcast by giving it a 5-star rating on Spotify Podcasts, which helps the algorithm get my show to other listeners who would benefit from it just like you. Without further ado, let's dive in. If you've been on a healing journey for a while and you're not seeing results, it can be extremely disheartening. And especially if you've been on a really good diet for a while and you've been following really strict routines, maybe you're starting to wonder that maybe your symptoms are more severe or your condition is unique and no one else understands, no one else has been through this before. And I'm not minimizing anyone's suffering, but the path to health and healing is all kind of the same in a sense. Now, of course, there are different protocols and regimens that certain people need to follow depending on the severity of their condition and what it is. A lot of the things that facilitate healing apply to almost all conditions, and just saying that you're not hopeless. What you are dealing with your chronic illness or condition or symptoms is not a hopeless case. There are so many things that you can do to continue to heal your body, and there are so many things that we've been told that we're supposed to do but are actually not great for us. You might be eating healthy, you're sticking to strict regimens, you're taking a ton of supplements, and you're still not getting better. And this really goes to show you that health is more than a diet and lifestyle. And this is really just a piece of the puzzle because there are so many people that are out there touting that diet is the number one way to heal your body and that it's the number one driver of sickness and disease. And there's really nothing to look at, but that's really only a piece of the picture. And diet is very important, but it's not the only thing that's important. There's a lot of unhelpful advice in the health and wellness space, as I'm sure that you've run across, and you might have done things that you thought were right, and then you realize that what you were doing was actually not healthy for your body. And when you're trying to heal, you cannot force your body into healing. It's something that will happen organically over time if you give it the right tools and minimal stress. So I'm just going to dive right into it of the things that have been touted to help you heal, and it's kind of the quote-unquote cure-all as what it's been presented as. And the first would be elimination diets. I've talked about elimination diets and how they can be very helpful to kind of help you pinpoint what is going on in your body and what you're reacting to. However, this is something that I've seen so many times, and it is when people are on elimination diets long term, they have limited their foods to a handful or a dozen quote unquote safe foods that they think are going to help them, and these are the only foods that they can eat. Long term, this can lead to disordered eating habits and also nutrient deficiencies. So if you are planning on doing an elimination diet, do it under the careful guidance of a skilled practitioner, and just realizing that this is not a long-term diet to be on. Also, if you're reacting to certain foods and there's no underlying clinical cause, like an allergy, for example, or celiac disease for gluten, then you are probably missing something if you cannot bring it back into your diet. Might be leaky gut that is unaddressed, or low stomach acid, or maybe even the parasympathetic is not being able to activate when you are eating. So just realizing that elimination diets are not going to help you completely heal. It is really just a tool in your toolbox to be utilized. Next, we have keto, carnivore, vegan, all kinds of other elimination diets or just strict diets in general. This also is not an inherently bad thing because keto, carnivore, or vegan can help you kind of pinpoint what is going on. It can be very therapeutic and healing for a short term. However, in the long run, it can lead to nutrient deficiencies and just leaving you feeling depleted long term. So if you feel better on carnivore, it might be because your digestive system is inflamed and you're reacting to anti-nutrients like lectins, and that's why you're feeling better on carnivore. If you've noticed that vegan makes you feel good, maybe it's because you can't produce enough stomach acid to digest the meat that you're supposed to be eating. So really a whole foods omnivorous diet is really going to be the number one kind of, diet I would recommend. There's really no one size fits all with nutrition, and that's why I even hesitate to use the word diet, but for just an ease of understanding, that is the terminology that I'm going to be using. Next, you have cold plunging. So there are tremendous benefits to cold plunging. And like I said, do not take away from this podcast and think that I'm just crapping on all of this stuff and that I am saying all this stuff is bad and it's horrible and don't do any of this, because that's not what I'm trying to get at. Instead, with cold plunging, if you're currently in a state of depletion and your thyroid and your metabolism are sluggish, and you are getting into a cold plunge, that puts your body into a state of stress. So when you are stressing your body out in a state that is not able to handle this stress, it is going to continue that cycle. So if you are dealing with cold hands and feet, or a sluggish metabolism, or poor digestion, maybe cold plunging is not the option for you right now. And in the future, with better health, maybe that'll change. So just listening to your body and realizing that it's not a one size fits all for this kind of thing. Next would be having salads and smoothies for quote unquote meals. There's nothing wrong with having salads or smoothies. These can be a really healthy addition to your current diet. But when you are eating a lot of plant material, especially raw plant material that is very fibrous and there's not a lot of bioavailable protein in it, especially if you're not adding like chicken or some kind of meat to it. Same thing with smoothies. If you're adding a lot of plant protein or you're adding protein powders, this is just a really low quality source of protein. It's not very bioavailable and it's not helpful for a long-term strategy, especially in the winter months. It doesn't really make any sense to be eating tropical foods, especially cold, because in the winter months your body wants warmth and it's craving warmth. So that's why hot meals in the winter always feel the best. But just overall in general, salads and smoothies can be a good addition for like a little snack or something. But if you don't feel good after you eat a salad or a smoothie, pay attention to that and scrap the idea if it's not working for you. Strict diets and regimens are also something that could be really keeping you sick. So rigidity is going to keep your body stressed out. So when you're having to veer off, say that you're going on a vacation or you are hanging out with a night of friends and you forgot your supplements or you don't have control over what you're eating, and you're psyching yourself out and you're stressing yourself out over these things, it's going to make you feel trapped. So just leaning into the unknown and just kind of give yourself permission to have fun and to slow down and just enjoy life a little bit, because if you're constantly stressing yourself out over not having control over every aspect of your life, we can't control everything. So obviously, if we try to continue to control everything, it's going to make us sicker and it's going to make us feel kind of stuck in this routine. And when you feel stuck in a routine that's not sustainable for you, chances are you are probably going to just stress yourself out even more and just kind of negate everything that the routines and habits are supposed to be helping you with. The next would be being plugged in and learning more constantly. So this is something that is a super, super easy pitfall to get trapped in, because it's something that you're probably worried about. So if you're worried about your health and you're constantly researching and you're looking things up and you're scrolling on YouTube or Instagram or listening to podcast after podcast, just trying to figure it out, if there's one more piece of information that you can find, maybe then you'll have the answers. And this is not how it works, because you're kind of just telling your body that you do not trust it. You do not trust it to heal. You do not trust it to do the things that it needs to do. And if you're constantly worrying and listening to podcasts and listening to try to find ways to quote unquote overcome your health problems and fix everything, then where do you think that energy is going? Is that energy going towards healing or worrying? So just think on that for a bit. Then we have the whole gluten-free, dairy-free craze. So as I've said in the past, I was gluten-free, dairy-free very strictly for about 5 years. And while I did notice pretty decent benefits from it, I also noticed that it wasn't the cure-all. I wasn't feeling as good as I should have been. And that's when I was realizing that there was more to the story than just eliminating gluten and dairy and everything will be fine. Because if you are reacting to these foods, that might be something that is in your nervous system. Maybe you're not relaxing when you eat these foods, or maybe you've been told that these foods are bad, so you're going to be worried when you eat them. And this can trigger a stress response in your body and an immune response to these foods. So paying attention to that, and also noting that if you are reacting to dairy, maybe it's because you have small intestinal bacterial overgrowth, or you do not have the lactase enzyme to digest the lactose. I did an entire video on this on my YouTube channel, and I will link that in the show notes, all about dairy quality and how to improve your ability to digest dairy, because dairy can be very foundational to healing and your body. And there's so many things out there that are telling us otherwise, and it's just complete nonsense. Dairy is something that we have been eating for thousands of years, and now all of a sudden we just can't. So there's a lot of different reasons why there are so many people who lack the ability to digest dairy properly. So if you want to learn more about that, definitely go check out that video. There's very interesting things in it that gives a lot more detail and a really good breakdown of why dairy has been so hard to digest for many people. And then you have intermittent fasting. So intermittent fasting is something I see a lot of women doing when they come into my practice, thinking that it's going to heal their hormones and heal their gut and make them superwoman and be able to fly to the moon. It's just insane, because of the fact that intermittent fasting is something that should be done when you are in a state of health. Now, I'm not talking about people who are dealing with like cancers or you have a common cold, because those intermittent fasting can be helpful for that. But as far as doing it on a daily basis for overall hormone and digestive health, it's very counterintuitive to do this, because a part of having a healthy metabolism is part of having a healthy appetite. So when you wake up, you should be hungry and horny. And if you have no appetite in the morning, that means that your metabolism is struggling. So really working on improving your appetite is going to make a huge difference in how you're feeling overall. And then another thing that I see is women coming to me with an endless list of supplements. And while I'm not saying that supplement protocols are unnecessary or they're harmful or this and that, it's just the fact that the amount of supplements and quality of supplements. So I see a lot of women come to me with supplements that they're taking, and they tell me that how they think that it's helping and it's doing such a good job. But then I start talking to them and reading their paperwork and realizing that the supplements really aren't doing anything. And this is really unfortunate, because of the fact that supplements can be so expensive. And if you're wasting your money on supplements, then what is the point? What is the point of taking them if it's not going to help you? And even if you are constantly taking supplements and you're thinking, this is the only thing that helps me feel normal, then you could potentially be missing something else in the equation. Also, working out every day, even when you don't feel like it, is something that really needs to stop. because we are not robots, we are not men, and our energy levels are going to fluctuate. So if you're pushing yourself to work out, especially high intensity workouts during specific times of your menstrual cycle, and you notice that you feel lousy afterwards, then take that as a cue to listen to your body. Having a high stress job is also something that is going to really harm your health. And I'm not saying to quit your job. I'm not saying just walk into your boss's office and tell him, I can't do this anymore, I'm done. Because that's not practical and that's not the reality of the world that we live in. However, what I'm saying is that if you have a high stress job or a high stress lifestyle, get comfortable with saying no. Stop being a people pleaser, stop trying to make the world happy, and ask for help, because it is not a sign of weakness if you're asking for help. It just means that we are human, and by asking for help, it can alleviate our stress load and allow for healing to take place. And lastly, you have healthy restaurant food, quote unquote healthy. So healthy restaurant food and tap water is something that a lot of people resort to because they think that it is a good option to be able to go to a restaurant and to get a meal that is going to help their body heal and all of this stuff. But in the reality of it, restaurant food is made with the cheapest ingredients. It's made with vegetable seed oils and other things that are harmful to us. So that's why cooking your meals is really going to be the ideal scenario in this situation. However, that is not always going to happen. So again, piggybacking off of what I said a moment ago about not stressing out over strict routines and regimen, that goes with this as well. Doing your best to avoid restaurant food at all costs, but also not stressing if you have to eat restaurant food, because it is what it is at the end of the day. So now, what are some of the things that you can do to actually heal? The first thing is to slow down. So this applies to all aspects of your life. Just slow down, enjoy life, and just take it easy. And while this is not possible in all aspects, really just taking the time to be intentional with what you're doing rather than going through life like a zombie. Maybe this means being more mindful of what you're doing or having a gratitude practice, but just allowing yourself to slow down and to be present. Cultivating sustainable lifestyle habits and routines is also something that is going to be tremendously beneficial, because if you are having routines that make you feel like you're stressed out because you have to follow them, it's not going to help. It's going to stress you out and you're not going to notice any results of healing, and it's going to make you sicker. So when you have these sustainable lifestyle habits and routines, you want to make sure that you are allowing yourself to be flexible with them. Because if you're not allowing yourself to be flexible, you're going to feel stuck. You're going to feel trapped, and it's not going to be fun, because you're going to feel like you can't do anything. You're going to feel like you are just stuck in this isolated little world, because a lot of people don't get it. And when you have been on this path for a while, it's easy to just assume that everyone knows what you know, and what you know is just common knowledge. However, it's not. And that goes the same with lifestyle and certain habits that you follow and routines. So just giving yourself grace in that aspect and just letting yourself cut loose sometimes. Sleeping 7 to 9 hours every night is going to be a foundational part of healing, because sleep is a non-negotiable. I don't care who you are, what you're doing, sleep applies to everyone. I don't care how strong you think that you are or how well you think you can function with little sleep, because I can guarantee you, you can't function as well as you think that you can on a little amount of sleep. So 7 to 9 hours is really ideal. And just making that a priority is going to be extremely helpful. I talk more about this in episode 12 about digestion and sleep and its impact on it, because a lot of women who are dealing with digestive disorders are having a hard time sleeping because of their stomach or vice versa. So just allowing yourself to sleep, taking that time to wind down before bed is going to facilitate tremendous healing. Next, we have moving your body every single day. So if you are not moving and you're sedentary, your circulation is going to be off, your lymph is not going to be moving, and overall you're just not going to feel good. So this doesn't have to be crazy intense exercise, just getting out there and moving. And once you start moving every single day, you will notice a massive difference and a huge shift in how you're feeling mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. And you'll notice, especially on the days where you don't move, you'll notice how lousy you feel. So just trying to get some movement in every single day in little pockets throughout the day, and just overall allowing yourself to move. Also, pooping every day is something that everyone should be doing. I've heard doctors say that it's not a big deal if you don't poop every day. I've heard them say that it's normal to poop every 2 or 3 days, which is absolute insanity to me. I mean, it really blows my mind to hear these things because of the fact that pooping is such an important way to detoxify and to eliminate waste. And if it's just sitting in there, all of those toxins and estrogens, they're just going to be reabsorbed back into your body. So ideally, you want the stool to be dark brown, it needs to sink to the bottom, and it should be sausage shaped with no hard edges or undigested food in it. I have an entire webinar for free on digestive healing, and it's packed with some incredible information on healing your digestion. So if you are really struggling with this, I would highly recommend that you go check it out. All you have to do is put your email in and it'll be sent right to your inbox completely free. I will link that in the show notes for you to check it out. Getting sunshine every day is also something that is going to make a huge difference in your life. So your circadian rhythm and your functions in your body hormonally and your digestion, everything depends on sunshine. And if you're not getting sunshine, you are not going to be experiencing all of the benefits of the sunshine. So not only the vitamin D, but also your circadian rhythm, and just going out in the sunshine for 20 minutes midday is going to yield so many benefits because of the fact that you are getting out there and you're getting the sunshine in your eyes and on your skin. And it's really something that you cannot live without. Get out there, get sunshine, morning, midday, and in the evening. And then you have lowering stress. So you have something called the allostatic load, which is basically your nervous system bucket. So we can really only take so much stress in our body before that bucket begins to overflow. Taking deep breaths throughout the day, really allowing yourself some time to relax, unplugging from screens, and just even a few minutes. So if you find yourself just endlessly scrolling on Instagram or some other device or platform on your phone or computer, just taking that time to take a step back and even just placing your hands, the palms of your hands over your eyes and just taking deep breaths, even for a minute. And you are going to notice how much more calm your body feels, and it's going to shift into that state of parasympathetic. Then you have eating high quality foods from plants and animals. Like I've mentioned, we are omnivorous species. If you are eating high quality foods from plants and animals, you're going to notice a huge difference in your overall health. You're not going to be restricting and telling yourself that certain foods are dangerous. Of course, this could be later on in your journey when you have gotten to a point where your body can tolerate a significant amount of foods, or even just challenging yourself. And if you notice that certain foods give you a little bit of trouble, and if it's not a life-threatening allergic reaction, take it slow. Have a teaspoon of that food every single day and just allow yourself to feel safe in that time that you are eating it. Because a lot of times stress responses can trigger the immune reaction to foods. So eating high quality foods from plants and animals is going to make a tremendous difference in how you're feeling, and just getting a variety of all of that, because you don't want to be restricting for a long-term period. Learning about your menstrual cycle is also going to be something that is absolutely foundational. It is priceless knowledge to know where you are in your cycle. It's priceless to know how you track your cycle and why you're feeling specific ways during that time. So I talk in depth about this in episode 9 about female physiology, and exercise and cycle syncing, and it is just so fascinating to learn about how the female body works and what exactly our bodies need and require during certain times, and why we are able to perform certain tasks better during certain times of our cycle. So if you want to learn more about that, definitely check that episode out. Then you have hobbies and a supportive community. So finding hobbies and people who are supportive to you is really going to make a huge difference, because we really are social creatures. And if we isolate ourselves, it's going to not only kill our dreams, it's going to kill our soul and just overall leave us feeling depleted and very depressed. Because if you don't have a supportive community or someone that you can talk to or lean on, I'm sure you've experienced this before. And if you have not, definitely consider yourself very blessed, because having someone to talk to is an extremely important part of being able to express yourself and to feel heard. And if you don't have a community, definitely start trying to make connections with people. Find a group on Facebook of people who are like-minded and who support your goals and your dreams and your aspirations, because having someone there to just chat with and to support you with everything that you're going through, and even just your hobbies, is so fun. It can make you feel like you are heard, and feeling alone and isolated is definitely a very easy way to fast track into a spiral of bad health. Also, balancing your blood sugar is something that is extremely important, because if you are not balancing your blood sugar, you're going to have these highs and lows in your glucose levels. And that's why eating every 3 to 4 hours, a carb, a fat, and a protein together, is going to make a tremendous difference. So if you are not eating every 3 to 4 hours, definitely start doing that. Keep your blood sugar stable, and you will notice a huge difference in your moods, in your energy levels, and just overall your entire health and well-being. And being close to nature is also something that is very helpful for helping the soul heal. Not only does it activate a primal part of our brain that facilitates healing and relaxation, but it's also just nice to unplug from our phones and to just be present in the moment, especially if you can be barefoot on the earth. That gives an added benefit of earthing and basically reducing inflammation. There is science to back this up. I know it sounds crazy if this is the first time you've heard about it, but there is science around the topic of barefoot walking. Being out in nature and just listening to the birds, walking on the ground, maybe talking with a friend or walking with your dog, it's going to have tremendous benefits on how you feel. And last but not least, eliminating toxic people from your life, or just even leaving toxic environments. And that could even be physically toxic environments. So places that are filled with mold or certain chemicals in the air that are toxic and harmful to you. This is something that is really underestimated on how important this is, because you could be doing everything else on the list and you could still be around toxic people. Maybe it's an abusive partner or an abusive family member, or even someone who's just constantly belittling you. And if you're around these people and you don't change that, you're going to notice that you're not getting better. And unfortunately, that's just the reality of the situation. The people that you surround yourself really set the tone for how your body feels and how your mind feels. And if you have someone who's not supporting you and who's being toxic to you, you're going to notice that, and you're not going to be healing. So all in all, these things are all about balance. Not stressing yourself out over all of these little things, and just really doing your best. Because if you are worrying about, oh my gosh, I didn't get sunshine today, or I didn't sleep 7 or 8 hours last night, or I didn't balance my blood sugar properly, like, oh my gosh, now what's going to happen? Because that goes back to the sustainability of cultivating habits and routines. Because if you are constantly worrying about these things and psyching yourself out and just making yourself feel like you're not doing enough, then your body is going to constantly feel like it's catching up. Just allowing yourself to have wiggle room around all this stuff, and to not try to be so perfect with everything, because perfection really does not exist. So just live in tune with your divine feminine, and that's really what's going to keep you healthy. Things like fasting, cold plunges, long work hours, and so on are more masculine and can throw our female physiology out of whack. So just paying attention to what activities you're choosing to do and why you're choosing to do that and how you feel afterwards. So most importantly, and the overall takeaway from this whole podcast is to just slow down and enjoy nature and just minimize stress, because strict and inflexible routines and lifestyles are only going to add to that. Remembering that healing takes time and there's no one size fits all approach, because we're all unique. We all have different health histories and struggles that require different resources and protocols and lifestyle and dietary adjustments, but really just sticking to the foundations and just keeping it simple, because we don't need to add anything else that is very complicated to our lives, because our lives are already complicated. So just keep it stupid simple and you will find results. So just keep pushing through and be patient with yourself. And just remember, take it step by step and keep learning on your wonderful journey of wellness. Well, that's all the time that we have for. Thank you so much for tuning into this week's episode. Today, we talked about not seeing results on your health journey, what could be holding you back from optimizing your health, and what to actually do to start healing. You can expect new episodes every Wednesday at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just a quick reminder again of how you can support the podcast and stay in the loop. Just make sure that you sign up for my email list. That way you can be notified every time I post a new podcast episode, make any new announcements for my services and how you can work with me, and also receive weekly relevant tips for digestion and hormones so you can optimize your health. My email list is the first to be notified about all of those things, and you can find the link to sign up for my emails in the show notes, or head to my website at megangarzawellness.com, and you can wait for the pop-up or sign up under the freebies tab. Again, I just want to thank you for listening to this week's topic. Take care, everyone, and until next time.